I thought I'd come outside and eat my breakfast. I have 2 pancakes, pecan pancakes, some bananas, some strawberries, and some sugar-free syrup with a glass of orange juice. So I thought I'd sit outside here. It's a little sticky, a little hot, but you know what? I'm enjoying my summer. Well, good morning. Today is Wednesday, July 2nd, and we have a couple birthdays today. Today is Denise Walker's birthday, so Denise, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Denise. Happy birthday to you. Cha-cha-cha. It's also Michael, who's Andrea's husband. Michael, it's your birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Michael. Happy birthday to you. Cha-cha-cha. And last but not least is Tamajoy. Tamajoy, today's your birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tamajoy. Happy birthday to you. Cha-cha-cha. Well, I hope all 3 of you have a great, great birthday today. And we only have one anniversary, but they're celebrating 54 years today. It's me and Jim. They're Jim and I. Jim and Sandy. Happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary. Happy, 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 happy anniversary. Happy, 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 happy anniversary. 54 years. Oh my gosh, can you believe it? Well, I know we're going to have a great day. It's beautiful out here. It's a little muggy. But like I said, it's my time of year. It's my favorite time of year. I showed you my breakfast. I had those 2 pancakes left over from yesterday. I eat them cold. Drives Jim crazy. I don't like to reheat them. I've heard of different ways of reheating them, but you know, they taste just fine to me cold. So I had that, and I had some leftover strawberries, and I had a banana that was just ready to turn. So, and I don't make banana bread. So, like, you know what? I should have saved I threw them away because I didn't want to get fruit flies. But I could have made my cream of wheat banana bread, now that I'm thinking about it. Too late now. I'm not gonna be digging them out of the garbage. So Jim wanted to go to the show yesterday, but there was nothing that was on at that time that we were going to go see. But he wanted to go see that F1 with Brad Pitt. It's like a race movie. It's his year to pick. So I thought, okay. So I looked it up, and it's 2 hours and 35 minutes. I know there's people out there, Kim, that love racing, car racing. I'm not one of them. But it was his year to pick, so I said, you know, do you want to go before we go to eat? And he said, no, that movie's too long. He says, I'm going to have to pee before the end of it. He says, we'll wait till it's on TV. So I said, okay, that's what you want. I don't really care. I didn't want to go see it anyhow. And so then I said, do you want to go to lunch or dinner? Because we're going to go to this new restaurant that just opened called Ford's Garage. It's like an automotive-themed burger place, but they have regular meals like steaks and fish and stuff like that too. But he says, well, you know, I just ate breakfast. I think I'd rather go for dinner. And I says, okay, we'll go for dinner. And so that's why I had my little early breakfast. Early for me. I ate it at 11 o'clock. That's early for me. I usually don't eat my first meal till 1 or 2, but we're going to go to dinner at 6. So I thought, well, I might as well eat something now. But Jim and I met in the 11th grade. He was a hall monitor. I was walking the halls with my best friend. I've told you this before, but my best friend Sue. And he liked Sue, but he didn't like me. And it ended up he started dating me and not Sue. So and Sue and I have remained friends to this day. How many years later? We've been friends since we were 2 years old, for 73 years. We've been friends for 73 years. And although Kathy is my best friend, isn't that odd? I met Kathy in 87 when I worked at Ward's. I was 37 and she was 22. And we just hit it off. I don't know why. I've always thought of myself as young. I've never really, even now I'm going to be 75 on my birthday. And I don't think of myself as being 75. I really don't. When people hold the doors open for me or they make accommodations for me, I know it's because I'm 75, but in my mind, I'm like 60. So I'm thinking, why are you holding the door open for me? And it's like, because you're a grandma. You're an old lady. I guess I have to embrace that. And plus the fact that my balance is off so badly. I walk with a little bit of a gait that I'm not really sure of myself. Soon enough I'll be back with my cane, I know that. But so far I'm doing well without it. But I do see that I need to do more strengthening exercises. When I went to the, I think I told you that yesterday, when I went to the thyroid doctor, I'm going to have I think he said in November, a call for it in November, but to have it done before I go back in January. I have to get a bone density test, and I have to do an ultrasound on my thyroid. But he said not to call for that appointment until November, because my appointment is in January, because I have to go every 6 months. So I thought, okay, sounds good. I'm going to do that. Maybe that'll give them a little explanation. Sometimes I wonder if I might just have a little bit of an inner ear infection. I do have a regular doctor with my internist on August 1st. So I do plan on asking her about that. And maybe she can have me have some physical therapy for my balance. I tried that once before, and I did one of the exercises wrong, and that's where I had the plantar fasciitis because I stretched some muscle or something. So I'm cautious of that exercise because I know exactly when I did it. It was like when I was standing on tiptoe on this thing, kind of stretching my calves in the back. I think I stretched them a little bit too hard or something. But like I said, Jim and I met in high school. We never had any classes together, although I did all of his homework. The only reason he graduated was because I did all of his homework. I was working in the counselor's office, and his mother had called once and we wanted to talk to the counselor, but the counselor wasn't available at the time. And I just said, well, I'm an office worker here. And she said, well, my son just started dating this girl. Her name is Sandy. Her last name is Manning. I was just wondering if you knew her. And I go, oh, I know her very well. I said, she is so nice and sweet. And she's a very good student. And she does a lot of extracurricular activities. And she's just an all-around nice girl. And she says, well, that's good to know. I said, thank you. So I told her that years later, and she just laughed. She found that video very funny. And then his brother always was asking me out. His brother was not my type, but he kept asking me out and asking me out. And then we went to dinner at his parents' house one night, and I asked for the salad dressing. And back then they didn't have those little spouts on them. It was just a jar. And so I went to shake it because it was Italian, and the lid popped off and all the Italian dressing went all over Jim's mother. That was how I set my first impression. Well, my first impression was on the phone, but my second actual physical one, she didn't get mad. She got mad at Tom because she knew he did it on purpose. So, but I don't think she really liked me at first, but I kind of grew on her. But I think that was just because Jim was the favorite. Jim's, he always said he wasn't, but his one brother and his two sisters both said Jimmy's the favorite. Jimmy's the favorite, and he was. And I always thought, why do you call him Jimmy? He's grown. He's a Jim. He's not a Jimmy. Jimmy, Danny, Christy. Now I know. I'm a mother now, so I know how that goes. But we had our ups and downs. We did one time. He was working at Biff's, which was like a diner, I guess. And he was a short order cook, and his brother had brought me in to see him. And that was the night that Fugitive was going to tell you who the one-armed man was. He was going to finally catch the one-armed man. And I wanted to be home to see that. And Jim was giving me a hard time about leaving, that, what the TV show was more important than him, blah, blah, blah. All that guilt trip you give on each other when you're a teenager. Or how you do it your whole life, I guess. But he was really upset, and so Tommy, well, they called him Tommy, but it was Tom, said, you should just break up with him. Give him his ring back. See if that makes a difference. Well, Jim took the ring back. Well, I was so pissed. So then Tom drove me home and then made a move on me. So I'm thinking, no. So watched to found out him get the one-armed man, because back then they didn't have, you had to wait till a repeat comes, and that, I didn't know that they necessarily show a repeat on that one. So the next day, Jim called me, wanted to know if I wanted my ring back. He had second thoughts. So obviously we got back together, and then he got drafted, and it was all, waiting for him to come home, and then we got married and struggled, as all married couples do, and just we've come a long way. We've come a long, long way. When we got married, he didn't have a job. I was working at a fruit market, making $1.67 an hour. And we bought a bed with our wedding money. We had a card table that we got from our wedding shower. And, like we got all our linens and stuff like that from the wedding shower. And then we had TV tray tables that we got too from our shower. And we had the lamps from Jim's 7th grade shop. And we had my TV that I got for my 16th birthday. And then Jim's parents' basement furniture. And now look at me. I have a whole house with so much junk in it. It's just like I got way more than I need. And so we've come a long way. And we struggled. As all married couples do, we struggled. We had our moments, but, overcome them. So if I can find any of my wedding pictures, I'll share them at the end. I remember my father, because my father didn't really care for Jim that much. He just didn't, he grew on him afterwards. I think Jim's dad, my dad was like Jim's mother, that he didn't really like Jim, but then he kind of grew to like him. Jim's mother, even when we got married, still wasn't to the point that she liked me. It took a while. So maybe her and my dad talked at the wedding or something, because right after that, they both seemed to like us. But I remember before we went, my dad said, look around at all these people that came to watch you get married. And I'm looking around the church, and I said, yeah, there's a lot of people here. And he says, you don't have to get married. If you want, we'll just walk out. He says, I know I paid a lot of money. He says, but your happiness is worth any amount of money that I paid for this wedding. He says, I just want you to be sure that you want to be, this is what you want, and that you're happy. And if it is, we'll walk down the aisle. And I said, let's get a walking. So I thought that was really, because, being the oldest, and I know how my parents struggled, and I know how much my wedding cost. So I thought that, for my dad to say that, he had to have meant it. He really did. But then, he got Jim a job at the sprinkler fitters, and Jim made a good living doing that, and they got along really well. And I got along really well with Jim's mother too. So just, I don't know. I think a lot of it had to do, we were so young. I was 20, Jim was 21. Jim was just getting out of the service. He didn't have a job. I was only working part-time, going to school full-time. So I can understand now why they were so hesitant about us getting married, but it worked out for the best, I guess. So anyway, I'll show you some clips tonight of the restaurant that we're going to. They don't have call-ahead seating, so we're going to have to wait. But on July 24th, they'll have call-ahead seating. Does us no good now, but we're gonna go there and enjoy ourselves. Jim went to the florist for now. He always gets me one red rose. So when he was ordering it, he was in the truck. He knows I'm going to get it anyhow. So we were driving somewhere yesterday, and he ordered the rose. And the lady said, you only want one rose? And he said, yes, just one, with all the fixings. Because he puts the baby's breath and all that in it. So he went to get that and get some gas in the truck. So, okay. I'll show you the restaurant, and we'll close out the video later tonight, so this is probably going up late. So far, my internet is working better than it did, so he must have really given me the upgrade on the internet. And my bill this morning shows the refunds that he promised me, so it's starting to look optimistic for me. We'll see. So, okay, let's talk again later at the restaurant. Well, Jim got back with my rose. I got to go in the house. I got the little water thing. I got to bring it in the house, though, to put it in a vase, or a vase, whatever you want to say. But I did think of a story for my wedding. I've shared it before, but I just find it so funny. Jim's mother, when Jim graduated from high school, one of Jim's aunts or uncles or somebody, one of them, gave him a puppy, which was Mitzi, which is what they named him. And Jim didn't want the dog. So Jim's mother said, well, we're going to keep the dog. The whole family was kind of surprised, because their whole life they wanted a pet, and they could never have a pet because Jim's parents didn't want pets. And so she just fell in love with this puppy. So this dog was like a family. All pets are family, but I mean, this was like beyond. It was beyond. Mitzi came first. Mitzi was the first over anybody. And Jim's mother just doted on this dog. And Jim's mother was an excellent seamstress. Oh my God, she was such an excellent seamstress that she sewed all of the drapes for her home. She made drapes for my house when we were living in the upper flat. She made the clothes for the kids. She was just, and they didn't look like, like sometimes homemade clothes look like homemade clothes. No, they looked like they got them at a store. They were that perfect. And when we went to get my bridesmaid gowns, went to Kitty Kelly. It was a bridal place, and I picked out the gowns that I liked, but Jim's mother didn't like the price of them, so she took one of the gowns from my sister's and made a pattern for herself, bought the material from Kitty Kelly, and she made Barb and Bertie's dress, and then she also made Denise's, because my mother thought, well, if you can make one, because it was going to be more expensive, because Denise was a junior bridesmaid. She was only 11 when I got married. So she made her dress too. You would never know that they didn't get them at Kitty Kelly. They looked, you couldn't tell them apart. You just couldn't, because like I said, she was an excellent seamstress. Well, anyway, she wanted Mitzi to be in the wedding. There was no way a dog was going to be in my wedding. I said, no, there's not. She said, well, I can, because like when you used to get the geese or the goose, and you'd put them in front of your house and you dress them. I still have the goose. I don't have the outfits anymore. But when it was raining, I'd run out there and put a little raincoat on them, or her, whatever. And then if it was 4th of July, I decked her out in 4th of July stuff and, dressed her for the weather. It's just I dressed, well, Jim's mother did this for this dog. It was before it was fashionable for dogs to have clothes. Mitzi had clothes. This was back in the 60s. Mitzi had clothes. So she wanted her to be in it. And so I said, no, the dog is not going to be in my wedding. There's just no way the dog's going to be in my wedding. So then after we got done at the church and we were taking pictures at the church and everything, we had taken pictures at my house first because being the bride. And so then Jim's mother wanted, and I didn't really realize the importance of a groom until I had 2 boys, because she kind of felt left out about a lot of things, because everything is about the bride and not that much is about the groom. And like even, which I never thought about it, because on our wedding invitations, I don't know if I still got our wedding invitation. I probably do somewhere. Usually it says, Mr. and Mrs. Edward Manning like to announce the wedding of their daughter, blah, blah, blah. And then that's it. Well, back then, Jim's mother insisted that we put, and the groom's parents would like to announce on the thing too. So mine says, Mr. and Mrs. Edward Manning announced the wedding of their daughter, Sandra Lynn Manning, to the sons of James and Eleanor Carrico, James Emmanuel Carrico, blah, 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 all that. So I thought, oh my gosh, why are you making such a big deal about this? Well, now I can see. Just because you got a boy doesn't mean that they're not getting married. But anyway, so she wanted the dog, and I said no, there's no way. So we took the pictures beforehand at my house, not with Jim, but with everybody but Jim. And then we took pictures at the church, and then we were leaving the church. Jim's mom said, "Well, can we go back to the house and take some pictures at the house?" And so the photographer said, "Well, we're going to be taking pictures at the hall." And she says, "Well, I really want pictures at my house. I want pictures in front of my house. I don't know that I don't see that if we're paying you what difference it makes where you're going, blah, blah, blah." And so then I said, let's just do it, because I thought, I just want to get this done with. So we go to the house, and she took all pictures. She took some with the whole bridal party, some with just Jim and I, some with us with the best man and the maid of honor, with the flower girl and the, whatever. All of that. We did all of those pictures. And it was just so many pictures. And so then we get to the hall, and family had gone to the house because she had it was between, the church and the dinner. She had hors d'oeuvres or something for them to eat at her house. So everybody kept coming to me at the wedding, and they kept saying, you know what, when you get your pictures back, we really want to see them because I know they're going to come out great. And I go, okay, I thought, why is this kind of, it sounded like it was a joke. And I'm thinking, what's the joke? I don't understand what the joke was. And then when we got our proofs, I saw what the joke was. The dog was in the wedding party and the pictures of the wedding party. So I am going to include a picture of Mitzi. She did not make it to the church on time, but she made it in time for the pictures. And it gives me a chuckle now, but I was mad as a hen, mad as a wet hen back then, because I just thought that should not have happened, but it did. So here's a picture of some of my wedding party with Mitzi. Okay, they had loud music playing outside from the inside, so I couldn't leave it, going like that. But anyway, that's the one car. Place was really busy. We put our name in. They told us it was a 20 to 45 minute wait. We only waited about 20 minutes. This car here, found out it was a friend of Kathy's, sold it to the restaurant so that they could put it on display. And everything's automotive theme. They have like the little gas handles, like when you pump your own gas for that. And then inside they have a car. You can't really tell, but the wheels are going around and around. For an appetizer, we had pretzels. There were 4 of them, but Jim and I each ate one. I had tomato bisque soup for my starter. And Jim had a bowl of bison chili. And then he got a bison bacon cheeseburger with French fries. And I've got the biggest piece of white fish I've ever seen in my life with a little bit of French fries underneath. I couldn't even finish it. That's how much I had left. And well, if you have a Ford's garage in your area, I highly recommend it. We went, well, they just opened, but it's a Wednesday night at 6 o'clock, and we had they told us a 45-minute wait, but we only had 20 minutes. But when we left, we were parked right by where we were sitting outside. Obviously, we were parked outside, but somebody was already sitting in our chair drinking a beer. So they had good turnover as far as it went. The food was delicious. I've never seen a bigger piece of whitefish in my life. It was so flaky and delicious. I would go there again, and I highly recommend it. So all in all, Jim and I had a great anniversary. We did find out that we could have got a free sundae for dessert, but we were both so full. And then they told us at the beginning that we'd get a military discount, and we forgot to ask for it at the end, so we didn't get a discount. We would have got 10% off. So, but it was a nice evening out. We had a good time. So that's going to do it for now. So like, comment, subscribe, and share, and let's talk again tomorrow.